We told you about the US bases. Now let's talk about the countries hosting them, the Arab nations of West Asia. When Iran launched its attack, one thing struck most observers. Jordan shot down the Iranian drones and missiles. Jordan, a Muslim Arab nation, took up arms to defend Israel. A country with a queen of Palestinian heritage defended Israel. Can you imagine the domestic headache this causes? It's why Jordan is pretending it did not help very much.
Yesterday, we dealt with some flying objects that entered our airspace and were confronted to prevent them from endangering the safety of our citizens and populated residential areas. The debris fell in multiple areas during that time without causing any damage or injuries among citizens.
Jordan is doing its best to show that it was just protecting itself, not Israel. We'll soon see if their people buy this explanation, but Jordan is not the only Arab state that helped Israel. It's the only one that did it so publicly. A lot of others helped in secret. Reports say that Saudi Arabia and the UAE were also involved. They shared intelligence about the Iranian attack. And that's not all. Arab nations also opened their airspace, allowing Israel's British and American allies to defend it. The Arabs host Western air defense systems, surveillance and refueling aircraft as well. All of this would have been used in the defense of Israel. So most Arab nations did help protect Israel from Iran. But we should mention something else here. This was not some betrayal of the Iranians or the greater Muslim cause for that matter. It's nothing like that. Iran wanted the Arab countries to pass along this information to the US. Tehran likely wanted the attack to fail. As we mentioned yesterday, the attack was to save face, to put up a good show for the domestic audience. Iran doesn't want an all-out war with Israel. If it did, it would have attacked long ago. Iran had to react to the destruction of its embassy in Syria. They also had to make sure that they did not actually hurt Israel too much. And how do you ensure that? Telegraph your attack via Arab-backed channels. The plan seems to have worked. Iran can say it attacked. Israel did not really suffer any serious damage. The US can say they protected their ally. And the Arab countries, minus Jordan, can pretend that they're not involved. Everyone wins. Well, except the Iranian, Israeli and American taxpayers. They paid for the fireworks show after all. But then taxpayers always lose. Everyone else walks away with a victory. But how did it come to this? How are the Arab nations suddenly helping the Israelis, who until a few years ago were the ultimate enemy? It boils down to self-interest. Most of the Arab states are rich. Take Saudi Arabia and the UAE, for example. They make billions through oil. They already have giant buildings and sports cars on every other street. These countries want to spend their wealth on development or prepare for an oil-free future, like Saudi Arabia, which is building futuristic cities and buying entire sports. These rich Arab states do not want to be slowed down, especially because of a war between two of their former enemies. If a war breaks out, everything goes up in smoke. Arab airspace will be compromised regularly. Misfired weapons will damage their infrastructure. Their air bases will constantly be used by the US, making them targets. It will be almost impossible for the Arab nations to avoid getting sucked into this conflict, so they would rather just avoid the war altogether and focus on improving their nations. They've been trying to do this for years now. Take the UAE and Bahrain. These two countries recognized Israel back in 2020 after the US-led Abraham Accords. It took years of diplomacy to bring this about, to de-escalate the situation between Israel and the Arab nations. Saudi Arabia was widely expected to follow suit, but hopes for that were dashed last October with the Hamas attack and the following Israel-Hamas war. Now, an Israel-Iran war will be much worse. It will derail all the plans the rich Arab nations have laid out, which is why these countries will try and prevent a war at any cost.
Iran has launched a direct attack from Iranian soil towards the state of Israel.